Hello, welcome back to another edition of the Just for Today podcast. I am Steph and I, as always, am delighted to be here and in your ears or on your screens for the next 15 to 20 minutes. This week is a bit of is a personal one from me. And the word that I'm going to use off the bat is a vulnerable post, because let's think about the word vulnerable, shall we? Now, a lot of you will know, some of you won't if you're relatively new to listening to me. I have a real passion for words. I have a real passion for the way, as humans, we all learn words and interpret those words based on the environment that we learn them in. So I'll give you an example, examples I've used before on the podcast. Excuse me. Vulnerable being one. Well, I'm going to come back to that. Let's talk about the word love. Love. Now, if we were to look it up on Google, or we were to look it up in a dictionary, #old school, if we were to do that, the meaning would pretty much be the same. We would all read those words in the same way. However, how we show it, how we use the word, will all be very, very different. And it will be based on the environment that we were raised in, the conditioning that we experienced as we grew up, and how those words were modelled by those in a position of influence. And by that I mean our caregivers, whether that's parents, older siblings, grandparents, anybody that was in a position of influence in your life, and how they modelled their behaviour was how we learn. Okay, so we actually looked up to them because they were bigger than us. And we also emotionally looked up to them as well. So the word love is an example of, some people find it easy to use. Some people potentially overuse it. Some people don't use it enough. Some people struggle to even say the word in itself. Generations of people would have struggled with that word. I don't think I ever heard my grandparents use that word to me. Didn't mean I didn't feel it, didn't mean they didn't show it, they just couldn't use the word, and were quite uncomfortable with the word, in fact. The same could be said for the word sorry. If it's not modelled to us, if it's not shown to us in a healthy, constructive way, it could be something that we don't even know how to use, or it's used again in a passive-aggressive way. Oh my goodness, I told you I was sorry, now get over it. It's sort of that type of passive-aggressive way. Or it could be seen as, apologising, or using the word sorry could be seen by a certain person as a sign of weakness, as a sign of vulnerability. So let's come back to the word vulnerable. Now, if you'd have asked me, I'm trying to think how long now, maybe 15 years ago, is vulnerability a strength? Potentially, I would have answered no. Vulnerability is absolutely a sign of weakness. When we show our vulnerable side, we open ourselves up to criticism, attack, all of the unhelpful things that would make us feel uncomfortable, make us feel fearful. However, in that time, in the last 15 years, I've come to understand a different interpretation of the word vulnerable. Now, I can't pinpoint where my belief around vulnerability the way I see it now, so 15 years ago and everything before that, I don't know where the feeling of vulnerability equates to weakness came from. I think as a general consensus, that is a lot of the people around me and within my generation, and generally now a lot of people that are around me will feel like vulnerability is a weakness. It is letting your guard down, letting your defences down. Therefore, I will not do that. And they see that as a strength in not being vulnerable. Whereas nowadays, for me, I see it very differently. And that will be for a number of reasons. A lot of the self-discovery work I've done, a lot of the reading that I've done, a lot of the listening that I've done to influential people again that were around me, whether that's actual people in my circle or people that I am inspired by, namely Brené Brown. She talks a lot about the power of vulnerability, and I would say she's one of the biggest influences that when I started to change my mindset around vulnerability, her voice was certainly something that was ringing in my ears at the time. Because to me, vulnerability is strength. To me, allowing your guard down, whilst it can be uncomfortable and whilst it can, in some cases, bring in things that you weren't quite prepared for and people, it teaches you an awful lot and allows you the ability to grow and learn and be the next version of yourself. So why am I sharing this with you today? Well, last week in my WhatsApp community, which has 50 plus women in that group, I shared something that was very vulnerable for me, a very personal experience for me. And I'm not going to share it on the podcast today because it is something that I don't have permission to share in this capacity, so I won't be sharing on here. And that's not because I want... It's interesting because as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about those that post on Facebook and check into hospitals and don't tell anybody what's wrong with them. And then when somebody says, oh my God, what's wrong? And they say, don't worry, I'll DM you. Like that, to me, that screams, please notice me. I need some attention. That's not why I'm saying I'm not going to share on my podcast. I'm not sharing on my podcast because I don't have permission to share that. However, I did have permission to share in my WhatsApp community, and I consider my WhatsApp community, the Just for Today community, to be a safe women's circle. Therefore, I felt it was safe to share in that space because this is a circle that I've created. It is a space that I've welcomed women into, a space where I feel that the boundaries are there, the guidelines are set, and everybody treats each other with the same respect and supports each other in the same way. So it felt the right space for me to be sharing. And I created the post, I hit send, and then I had a massive vulnerability wave wash over me. And it felt like wow, the defences went down, the guard went down, the force that was around me felt like it had been removed. And for a moment in time, everything was screaming, delete the post, delete the post, delete the post. But I also knew that what was happening is my inner protector was saying, Steph, you've got our guards down. And this is opening you up to people having an opinion about you and what's going on right now. And that isn't comfortable for us. So I strongly suggest you take that post down. She doesn't speak so politely, I'm going to be honest. But I kept working with this inner protector of mine and just saying, it's fine. This is a safe space. This is okay. But the noise was still there, and she still kept saying, but this is going to make you look weak, Steph. What if, as a result of you posting this, someone won't want to work with you? That was the overriding noise. Because of this misconception that because I work with women and because I consider myself a therapeutic mentor, well, I am a therapeutic mentor, and because I help women transition through traumas of the past into superpowers of the future, it almost felt like if I was showing that actually there's an area of my life where things don't look picture perfect, where things are difficult right now, does that mean somebody else is going to prejudge me and think I don't want to work with her because her life isn't perfect? Now, logically, I can look at that and go, come on now. This is a trusted women's circle here. This is a place where we all come and we share and we open ourselves up for support and development and personal growth. But my inner protector was saying, Steph, this is not what we're doing here. You're now opening yourself up to people to judge you. You're opening yourself up for people to potentially not value you in the same way or not see you in the same way. So that voice was really interesting to me, and I kept working with her and I kept actually supporting her and actually just kept saying to her, you wouldn't want people in your circle that felt like that about you anyway. These aren't the type of people that you would want. If somebody had a preconceived idea that your life had to be perfect in order for you to support women to the best of your ability, therefore you can't have stuff going on in your life, so they wouldn't work with you, then they're not your people anyway. These are not the women that you want in your circle anyway. So I just kept working with that voice. I just kept working with that inner protector. She was coming up, and I love her for it. I love her for all of that, because she's done so well to get me to this point, and she continues to support me and continue to nurture me. So I am grateful. And it is really interesting, isn't it? Because you think, you've done some self-work, and you've moved through so many powerful things and powerful experiences, and yet all of a sudden this noise appears again. You think, hang on a minute, I thought I'd spoken to you. I thought I'd dealt with you a long time ago. And here she is again. And the way I see it, and the way that it helps me move through the world, is I just believe she's there out of love. And she's there because she's feeling afraid, and she's feeling nervous, and she could be showing up at a different age, coming back to the inner child healing. This could have been 7-year-old Steph. This could have been 12-year-old. I didn't dig deep enough to know to try and understand, because actually I didn't feel I needed to do that. I just reassured all the Stephs from conception, birth, all the way up to the age I am now, which I think is 48. Can't remember. But anyway, I just reassured every version of me that I am safe, that it is okay. And then what happened was a really beautiful thing, because then I was able to allow that post to sit there and allow myself to receive the love and generosity and support and compassion and kindness from the amazing women that are in my WhatsApp group, this beautiful women's virtual circle that I've created. I was able for them to see and hear me in a way that I desired. And one of my intentions for posting was to also allow some of the women that are in there that I work with, that I might have to step back at periods over the next 4 to 6 weeks to support other members of my family. So it was to also be proactive in effective communication as well. But I also got a whole ton of love and support and compassion, which made me feel very grateful, made me feel held, and made me feel like I was part of a movement where everybody supported everybody, women supporting women, which I talk about all the time. I spoke about it last week, and I'm going to speak about it again today, because I'm going to bang this drum until the day I'm not here anymore. This absolute vital importance of women supporting women in a kind, beautiful, unconditional way, in spaces where there's no we're not walking into that space with anything other than wanting to be in a space where we feel safe and heard, and provide that support to other women in that space as well. No preconceived ideas, no pretension. That's the word I was looking for. No pretension, because that is where difficulties arrive. That is where competitive behaviour occurs. So me being held in my own women's circle meant that I could breathe, and then I could go to that circle at any time and say, I'm going to step back for a few days, and they would understand, and they would give me guidance and support if I asked it for, but not give it unless I'm asking. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of women's circles. We can go into those spaces and say, I don't need any advice, I don't need any support, I want to feel heard, and that is enough for me. And other times we can go in and we can say, I want some support, any advice welcome. I really need to feel heard and held right now. And so we can get what we need from it, and we can get it through positive intention and love. So again, let me come back to the point of the power of women's circles and the power of this community that I am creating this year. And like I say, until the day I die, I will be banging on about women's circles. So let me take the opportunity to tell you more about the women's circles that I'm creating and why they're so very important to me. The online women's circle, which is my WhatsApp group, again, these are women in all different places and all different parts of the world that are coming into this space. And some contribute daily, some contribute once a week, some contribute once a month, some don't contribute at all. And every part of that is fine. because I know that at some point someone is going to read something on their phone and feel reassured or feel less alone. And that is my intention for that group. Then we have the once a month pause and reconnect virtual, no, that's wrong, once a month virtual women's circle, which is totally free, where you can come join the Zoom call and for 1 hour a month and join whoever joins me that night, whether it's 1 woman, 10 women or anything else. And I've decided to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, I've got the words today. I'm going to be intentional with that space for part of it. So I'm going to create a talking topic each month and then I'll open the floor up as well. And this month it is going to be all around how to stay kind of out of overwhelm whilst dealing with school holidays and all the stuff that comes at this time of the year. I'm going to put all the information for this in the show notes, so be sure to check those as well. Then we have Pause and Reconnect Women's Circle, which is the 3-month gathering, which is when we meet once a month for 3 months. We meet in Chelmsford from 9:30 till 2:30. As I say, it's once a month for 3 months. You're making a 3-month commitment with the Pause and Reconnect Women's Circle. And then we have the larger event, which is Pause and Reconnect, the 1-day event, which is a larger women's circle. It's a 1-day event, and that's at 9:30 till 4 p.m. And those events are being held in Chelmsford. And I'm also delighted to share that I'm going to be taking it to Bishop Stortford as well. And I'm going to start moving them around the country. And why are these important to me? Why are these circles? I think I've made my point over the last couple of weeks with the episodes that I've shared. But they are so important to me because when women come together, magic happens. And if you don't believe me, come and join me. You will never regret it. So just for today, I would love you to think about the women that you have in your circle, the women that just love and support you unconditionally, that will show up for you even if you haven't seen them for months on end. Just for today, think about those women that you can, or woman, that you can reach out to and they have your back and they love you unconditionally, they support you unconditionally. Those beautiful women that you have in your circle. And I want you to just to reach out to them or her and just tell her how grateful you are to have her in your life. Because again, that ripple effect will occur. You will send that message or you will speak that message. She will feel so chuffed to hear that and she will move about her day differently. So just for today, get in touch with the women in your circle and give thanks for their presence in your life. Until next week.